Xi Jinping, do you think he has a clear idea how to get from point A to point B, how to transition from condos to chips? And if it isn't, right, if it isn't private investment, foreign investment, FDI included, that's going to help them make that transition, what is it going to be?
Yeah, I think the transition is already underway. I mean, certainly, if you look back last spring and he sort of announced his three news, right, which were all about in the clean tech sector, the batteries and EVs and solar panels, right, new energy products, et cetera. And then we can see, the list, frankly, of various technologies that, he has placed a priority on. And then, the AI plus, right, putting AI, throughout the entire economy. I think it's well underway. But the question in my mind is, are you merely substituting the condos for the new technology? And are you following the same playbook, which is going to lead to overcapacity, to a lot of waste and inefficiency, to every province and every locality having to have their own, semiconductor fab, which we've actually already seen a bit of, right? We have, so many EV manufacturers in China today. A lot of them are not going to make it, right? There's going to be a huge winnowing process underway. So I think that it's the model that's problematic. I think more than the challenge of moving from, traditional construction homes kind of infrastructure to these new technologies. I think that to me is the bigger issue. What are you doing for the Chinese consumer? What are you doing to open up the private economy? I think these are the bigger questions that so far I think the stimulus has not answered. And I think issuing long-term bonds so that local governments can, go buy, property the property that the real estate companies can no longer, develop because they're broke, and then expecting them then to repurpose them in some way. To me, that pushes off the problem. It's going to turn into more waste, more inefficiency, more debt down the road. So I think, structurally the model is flawed. And I think that's what needs to be addressed. And, for the first time, I think it's important to recognize this issue of overcapacity in the clean energy sector that we're seeing now with the EVs and other things. It's not just the United States and Europe and others in the advanced economies that are pushing back, but you're actually having middle income economies, right? Like a Mexico or a Brazil saying, or in India, we can't have, Chinese overcapacity basically prevent our own domestic industry from developing. So I think China's going to have to listen, to those countries, even if they can put aside the U.S. I think they are going to need to listen to these other countries that they often try to partner with. And maybe that'll, sort of begin to shift the Chinese mindset about how best to pursue the next stage of economic development.